Hey, Divine Ones. This is Jerome Braggs, and I want to share something very special with you today. I usually don't do videos or lives on Fridays, but today is a very special occasion. I could not wait. I just wanted to share this with you. I want to share with you a recent channel download I received from my guides today, actually. Um, as a channel, I get channeled information in two main ways. The first main way is when I am intentionally trying to connect with my guides and receive channeled information. That's usually when I'm either doing a meditation to do it, or I quiet and still my mind, or I kind of go into a trance, or something like that. And then I can receive a lot of information or downloads through that process. And then the other process is usually when I'm going about my usual daily life and they come out of nowhere. And today was such a day of that. I received this particular download while I was receiving dialysis treatment today. And luckily, I had I take a notepad with me because this was such profound information for me. I had to write it down because it is going, particularly to change my life. It has changed my viewpoint of self love, and it's also changed what I understand about my own healing journey and what I need to do to receive full wellness. So, before I share with you what the download was, I want to share with you a download I received in 2020 because they connect very closely together and they're kind of partners. And I received this one today probably because I didn't really listen to that one. So the download I received in 2020 happened when I was all of 2020. I stayed at my mother's house, and I during the pandemic, as soon as the pandemic started, which was around March for where I live in the city that I live, the lockdown and all that started around March, and I received this download one day when I was staying in my mother's guest room, and there was one day and it was a day that I didn't have to get up early the next morning, so I didn't have anything to do. Usually, when I have treatments, I have to get up really early, like 5 o'clock in the morning, to head to treatment. This wasn't a treatment day; it was like a weekend day or something like that, and I didn't have anything to teach. I didn't have a gym appointment or anything. It was like a day I could literally sleep in, and I was looking forward to really sleeping in very late. But around 5 a.m. this morning, I heard a cricket, and it was very loud. And I woke up and I was like, really? Like on the day that I'm supposed to rest in, there's this cricket, right? And I heard this cricket and it was not letting up, and I was trying to make noise. Usually if you make noise or if you clap or something like that, they'll be quiet or they'll try to move around for a while. But it wasn't doing that. It didn't let up at all. And so I was like, I have to get up out of the bed and go find this cricket. So I get up out of the bed. I'm searching around my mother's guest room, and I can't see this cricket. And it sounds like it is right over near the window, not outside of the window, but kind of like sitting on. My mother has like a big window sill. It sounds like it's sitting right on the window sill. And I go over to the window and I open the shutters and to see this cricket, and there's no cricket there. And as soon as I open the shutters, it's silent, right? And there's no cricket there. I can't find it anywhere. It's not. There's no little crevice for it to be hiding. It's non-existent, right? And so I'm like, this is really strange. And then I go. I'm like, and I'm fully up. Like I'm not sleepy anymore because I have been ravishing this room trying to look for this cricket. And I'm finally I'm up. And I was like, this is strange. What is this about? And then it hit me. Now, usually, when things like this happen for me, I recognize that it is a divine sign that my spirit team, either my guides or my ancestors or someone I love on the other side, is trying to speak to me. Like they want my attention. And so I was like, okay, this is obviously you woke me up. You woke me up. This was from spirit. Spirit wanted me to wake up. There's something obviously you want me to know or you want to say to me. So I sat on the bed, edge of the bed, and I said, "What is it?" And I received a huge download then around um, what life is really about. And it was talking a lot about life is really about expressing the light of the soul. being the light that you are, expressing the light of your soul here in this lifetime, and expanding that light, growing it. And so I think I did a video on that download last year, and I knew that that download was a message for me, but I don't think I effectively took that message. And so today, during treatment, in the middle of treatment, I began to receive a download, and I immediately grabbed my notebook and I started writing. And what the download today talked about was very similar. And what it basically said was the purpose of life, the purpose for why we incarnate here as souls, why we choose to have a human experience, the purpose why we choose to have an experience is to expand the light of our of FedEx delivering a package, is to express the light of our soul and expand it. That is the whole purpose of life. And you expand it by nourishing your light. You nourish yourself. But we talk a lot about the purpose of your life is to do some type of job or some type of career or something like that. And that's not the purpose of your life at all. The purpose of our life is to literally express the fullness of the light of our being in this lifetime and to nourish it or feed it as much as we can so that it grows as much as it can in this particular lifetime. And as it was giving me this, it talked about how one of the things that was the big aha for me that kind of blew my mind was I've been talking about self-love for years and teaching it and on my own journey of it. But what it said was that loving ourselves is about this practice, that is what loving ourselves really is. Loving ourselves is the practices we embody to help us express the light of our soul and to release the behaviors that restrict the light of our soul, to restrict the expression of the light of our soul, and the practices that nourish the light, that feed it so that it grows. And again, to release the behaviors and the practices we have that don't feed us, that instead deplete us or that drain our light. And the last thing it said, which is what I know, I've been knowing for years, but the last year's download kind of made it very clear, and this one was crystal clear. It said that this is where the majority of all illness comes from, especially chronic illness. Chronic illness comes from us not fulfilling our purpose here in one of two ways, or both ways in my case. We're not expressing the light of our soul. We're not being ourselves. We're not living our truth. We're not being open. We're not being authentic. Or we are, and there's many ways why we don't do that. We may be hiding some aspect of ourselves. We may be suppressing. We may be trying to edit or rearrange ourselves to try and be more digestible or more approved of by somebody else or other people or other cultures. But there's many reasons why we do that. But that causes illness because it, instead of expressing the light, it blocks it. And then the other part that it said was, we become sick when we don't nourish our light. Just like when we don't nourish this body, we have a light body. And when we don't feed it, it doesn't get the nourishment it needs to expand, and it starts to shrink. And that shrinking is what illness is. And this is a huge kind of aha. And I've known this in a little bit way, but I never put it in those words. I never had those words before. And then it was very clear for me. I understood as I was getting this download, they began to reveal to me very clearly why I was still ill, because in the ways that I had been diminishing my light. I had not been expressing the truth of myself fully. I had been suppressing some pieces of myself, and that had made me sick initially and kept me sick still. And then there were ways in which I wasn't really feeding my light. There were some behaviors I'm still engaged in that actually deplete my light instead of expand it. And it was the most clarity I've ever received around what I needed to do for my own healing journey. and also what self-love is. So again, self-love is the practice which we take to express the light, the practices we embody to express the light of our being, like living our truth, being open, being authentic, saying what we need to say, allowing ourselves to feel what we feel, all of that. And then also the practices about nourishing ourselves, really nourishing the light of our soul. And that's doing what we really want to do, living a life we really want to live, working in our passions, um, having a lot of fun, allowing ourselves to have a consistent and deep relationship with pleasure, um, connection and community and tribe, like those types of things that feed us. And so it was a big aha for me today. And I have several notes here. As you can see, like all these pages are just filled with notes from this download. I'll be writing a lot more about this later and sharing that. But I wanted to share this because it's really changed my understanding of what I needed to do. It really, and understanding, oh, there are places where I was restricting my light and I wasn't feeding my light. And that's just my healing journey is really about feeding my light and expressing my light. And when I do that, as always, as I've been teaching for years and I've helped other people know, when you have the fullness of your light in your body and your light is flowing through you, you have to be well. You have to be healthy. And when you don't, in any way, when it's restricted or it's shrunk in any way, you're going to have a hard time being fully healthy because your body needs the light of your soul. It was built for literally to house and to move around in this experience, the light of your soul. And when there are pieces of your light that aren't inside of it, it cannot be healthy. It doesn't have what it was built for. So yeah, so that was really big for me, and then also understanding kind of how my work is shifting now to and how I talk about self love is really about expressing the light that you are and feeding the light that you are and making it very simple in those two terms, and looking at all the things that are happening in our lives that either support that or they deplete or diminish or restrict our ability to do those two things. But that's really the purpose of the soul here. That's your life's purpose. Your life's purpose is to express your light and to do the things that help you do that, and to nourish your light and to do the things that help you do that. And when you're not living your purpose, um, oh yeah, this is another thing it said. When you're not living your purpose, it sends a signal to the soul sends a signal to the body to start exiting this life. The soul sends a signal to the body to start exiting this life because the whole purpose of living here is those two things. And if you're not doing those two things, there's no reason really to be here. And so you start the exiting process, which is what disease is. Disease is the exiting process. It's one of the exiting processes. It's not the only way to exit this realm, but it is one of the exiting processes. So yeah, I wanted to share that with you all as you're going to probably see very soon some changes and some shifts in my work, in my writing, and what I talk about as it pertains to this. And it was just a big aha for me, and I feel so good about it, and I feel very clear. It feels when I get downloads, and I know that there's a truth. They feel like pure clarity, and this is what this feels like. It feels like I understand in a way that I really hadn't before, and I'm very clear in a way I hadn't before, and I'm excited to see what my own journey, how it shifts, my wellness journey shifts with this understanding, and how I my work with helping other people experience deeper levels of well-being, how that shifts with this understanding. So, and anyway, thank you for listening. I hope in some way this was an aha and a light bulb for you as it was for me today. And until next time, I love you. Now go love yourself.